back it up before. I know I started with your gym, and I want to talk about this a little bit later, but I want to back it up real quick to back in the early days of Gold's Gym of Menace. Are you originally from California?
Yeah, I'm the only one in my family that was born in California, but my roots come from Mississippi.
Oh, okay. So, but did you live in California basically all your
Whole
life?
life. I'm in the same 10 miles my whole life.
Oh, okay. So you know Gold's Gym since Gold's Gym.
Yes.
You know?
Chris Cormier, Flex Brother, Charles Glass, those guys were there before me, but I came soon after in the early 90s.
Oh, okay. So early 90s. That's it. Oh, okay. Because I remember I went there the first time back in 97 when I saw you there.
Right.
So,
I'd been there years before you got there.
Yeah. So, and I know you haven't been to Gold's Gym for a while now, but Gold's Gym back then, was that something special for not only people, not only tourists, but for athletes? Because this is the way I felt, but I want to get it from you. How did it feel to go to Gold's Gym and train there?
Well, honestly, you had a lot to do with that atmosphere that was there.
Who, me?
Yeah, you had a lot. When you came in, you had us shaking in our boots. You came out of nowhere.
You know what's funny? Because you just say that. The funny thing is because I just talked to Chris and Flex in a round table, you know. And Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Tell the story.
You came in there totally in shape, and you would have your food in the locker, eat and go back and work out, and then eat and go back and work out. And you wear remember the onesies?
Oh yeah. the hot skins or whatever it was.
The hot skins. You had it was red and yellow, and then you had a purple and gray one that I remember. And you were in shape, big, round. Man, we were terrified of you. We didn't know who you were, where you came from, or anything. But it was a lot of people like before you that came in, and that created the atmosphere of Gold's Gym.
Right.
Like you never know what to expect. Like people would get in shape just to come to Gold's Gym and work out like you did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people literally just back then, I remember I seen buses come up with like Japanese or Chinese, a whole bus full of tourists just coming to Gold's Gym because they want to see Gold's. So, but what was it? When did you start? Because you obviously one of the well-known trainers out there. You know, you train people from all walks of life, all the way up to Mr. Olympia. So, what was it like back then? Were you a trainer when you came to Gold's, or were you just training there as a?
Basically, back then when you got there, I was still working in construction.
Okay.
And I would sneak off from my job site. I work for my dad. I sneak off there and train with Cormier and Flex and try to assist Charles or whatever I could do. But primarily I was working in construction, doing very well. But I would take 3-hour lunch breaks, to go to Gold's Gym. That's how exciting it was back then. And like, it wasn't just the bodybuilders. We had Gregory Hines. We had top actors, top singers, everybody in there. Who's Who was always there. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I first met The Rock. And I met The Rock when he was a pebble. I met him when he was just there, and directors of movies and stuff like that. So it was the who's of all industries that would be in there. In the off season, all the football players would come there, all the baseball players would come there, the basketball players would come there. So it was like celebrities of all walks of life and all different sports being there. So the level of athleticism or intensity was always high.
Yeah. Because I remember when I walked in there in the beginning, I see Bryant come in the morning.
Right.
I see Mike Tyson.
Yes.
I remember Gregory Hines and all kind of actors. And I remember there was just one actor, I can't remember his name, man. What was his name?
Mickey Rourke?
No, not Mickey. No, there's another one. He had a little scarry face. He does a lot of mob movies, so he did a lot of mob movies.
Oh, James Caan.
No.
Okay.
He also did a movie where he played a cop, and he was so.
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta, that's the one. I remember. I'm looking at this guy, and I remember this guy from somewhere, and he pissed me off because I saw that movie.
Right.
That was before, and I saw that movie, and then I saw this guy, and then I didn't remember it was from the movie. I just remember that I didn't like this man.
You didn't like the guy?
I couldn't stand him, and I'm like, I saw him in the gym, and I kept staring, I said, why do I hate this guy? You know, come to find out that he's the movie star, and it was just a movie that I watched. It's funny.
Right. But
funny
that's the thing. There was these top actors, and of course, we would go to the firehouse and have breakfast and have lunch. And these guys would just come down and sit with us and just be just like regular guys.
Yeah.
Be like regular guys. And so the atmosphere, just you imagine the atmosphere was just there, and you wanted to be good, and you wanted to be great, and you wanted to fit in. So, you wanted to have these physiques and these bodies. So that was every day was a show for us. You know? And to be in that crew, the clique that I was in, I hate to say that because, they were like, I was just happy to be working out with those guys, just to be around Flex Wheeler and just to be around Chris Cormier and Charles Glass, Paul DeLatte. I mean, I can go Paul DeMayo. I mean, it goes on and on. But I remember Flex said, when you doing a show? And I said, no, I just want to hang out. No. He said, no, we do shows and we win shows. Like, what the hell? Like, did you, this is a question I never asked you. Did you ever compete?
Yes, I competed. Yes, I competed. I was a nationally qualified competitor. I never did the nationals. My job basically was when Flex was getting ready for his show, I trained with him. And then when Chris got ready for his show, I trained with him. And then Paul got ready, I trained with him. So I was always prepping, training with somebody. I think you're the only guy I didn't train with at that time. I think you're the only one.
What was it like training with these guys, though? What was it like? Were you competing with them in the gym, training, trying to be stronger, or?
I was always. Chris was beg to differ, but I was always stronger than those guys. I was very, very, very stronger. That's why they allowed me to train with them. But I really think it hindered me turning pro. Like I think it stopped me. Can you imagine being around Flex Wheeler and comparing yourself to Flex Wheeler?
Yeah,
like it was just like
especially in the early 90s.
Exactly. This guy, Flex Wheeler, and they were all great in their own right, but I would see Flex at 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and then see him the next day and still be in awe, and still look at him like it's the first time I ever seen him.
Yeah,
that's how round he was and how full he. Even with his sweatshirt on, you could see the bumps and all this stuff. And these guys taught me so many things, and it was a really good time for me. It made me fall in love with the sport at the grassroots level. Not just everybody loves the show when they see you all tanned up, but your face sunken in looking like a model with a nice haircut. But I fell in love with the part where it's 15 weeks out and we got to get going, and we got to get in shape in 6 weeks, and then we can cruise in and stuff like that. Or we're behind. It was like going to war, And these guys back in those days, it's not like where you can have a supplement contract and then a media contract, and then you sell your own T-shirts and social media. You could actually promote yourself. If these guys didn't win the show, they either lost the contract or the contract got cut. It was just that simple. It was no, I'll get better on the next one. They had to win. They had to look the best they did. So it was the level of the intensity was super high. It was super high.
Why did you not compete more? What held you back?
I don't think it held me back. I just went from I was with Chris 90%. I was with Chris most of his shows, and I was with Flex most of his shows, and not just my focus. I fell in love with the prep part of the thing.
I know, but as a competitor, I mean, isn't that the motivation that you need to go compete yourself, to train with those guys?
I didn't have that motivation. The motivation I had was, we got to get Flex as Mr. Olympia. We got to get Chris Mr. Olympia. We got to get Paul Mr. Olympia. We got to get Paul to win this show and that show. Like, that's my frame of mind. I was, with Charles, I had the same frame of mind as Charles. Although I was training with the guys, it was all about them.
Right.
It wasn't about me.
So you're there just to support them and make sure they be at their best.
Yeah. Yes. I was. But like sometimes like basketball team, they have a coach and he's also a player. That's how I felt. I saw myself as more as a player coach type of thing. Uh-huh. Now Charles Glass, he led the ship. He was the captain of the ship. But I would help. You already know Charles has these crazy angles, and I knew how to do the setup, so I would run over there, get it set up. There would be no delay, and then I would start working out or show him how to do it, and he would use me as like a like a sparring partner with those guys.
When did you when did it turn into you being a coach? When did you say, okay, I want to do this full time?
That's funny. The first person I ever coached, because back in the day there was only
I think it was Chad, and there was what's his name? Goglia. He was around. Casito was around. There was only like
but those guys are not coaches. They are more like nutritionists. Yeah.
Right. So we had a guy. His name was David Young.
Yeah.
And you remember David Young?
Bolo Young's son. Yeah.
Yes. So what happened was, Flex told me, "Hey, man, write up in my diet and kind of guide him in, and then I'll oversee it." So Flex was overseeing it, and then kind of like I watched David make sure you do what you're supposed to do. And I started writing the diet up, and Flex looked at the diet and goes, "Man, this is pretty good. This is pretty good." Now, mind you, I had seen all those guys' diet. I had seen all their protocol lists. I was right there. So I had a good knowledge of what to spin off of and what needed. And there was this book called the Mobley Dictionary, Medical Dictionary. So then I started like getting this and doing the side effects of this and started doing this and that. And then that's why I started coaching. So David Young was the first one that I ever coached. And it wasn't like I coached him. It was like me helping my friend get ready for a show.
Right.
And then it went in from that to somebody else, to somebody else, to somebody else.
So, but now do you still do people's nutrition and diets, or do you just strictly train them?
That's primarily what I do. That's primarily what I do is nutrition and diet. But I can't sit in front of the computer all day. So I really open my gym up for my clients and others and help them turn corners. And people flying from out of town, they can't feel their back. They can't get a pump in their upper chest and things like that. And I show them how to do that.
So when you compare, since you've been around so long, when you compare bodybuilding from back in the 90s, early 90s, late 90s to today, what do you see? What is your honest assessment of bodybuilding today versus back in the 90s?
Okay. It's a story about you, honestly.
Again?
I often tell this story on my lives. I do my lives. So you did a show. You went somewhere, came back and did a show. And there's a picture of us, me looking at you. It's just after the show.
That was a goals when I was doing that leg shot.
Yes.
That picture
yes.
you're talking about, yes.
Yes. And you had won the show, but you knew you had 10 pounds more. You could have came in fuller and bigger. I mean, you were bursting at the seams. Now, you probably don't remember that day, and I'm going to remind you. So you were still living in Thailand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, "Hey man, is there a mall around here? I want to go buy some clothes. I want to, get some sweatsuits and stuff like that." So I took you to the mall, and it was me and somebody else. I can't remember who the other person was. And we're walking behind you, and you're like this. I mean, you're just wide and lumpy, and you had your shirt cut down, show your chest. And we were walking through the mall, air-conditioned mall, and the sweat, you just started sweating. A little trickle of sweat like that. Like,
how do you remember all this? I don't even remember.
Because it amazed me. It amazed me. So you go into the store, really nice store, and they have these nice velour sweatsuits, and you grab a bunch of them and this and this and that, and then we're heading back. So we're on the freeway. It's a 90 freeway. It's only like 3 mile freeway. And your watch goes off. Boop, 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 boop. You said, "Stop the car right now." Huh? Oh, no, stop. You had me pull over on the freeway. You went to the car, opened the trunk, and was eating your food on the side of the freeway.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
That was serious. That's how serious you were. That's how serious you were. You would not wait another 10 minutes to get to your place. And you were renting an apartment off of this street, over by the Cheesecake Factory.
Marina Towers.
You were reading the towers. Now listen. So you got there, you shoved down your food. Okay, go, go, go. And I took off, and all I had to do was make the loop and get you around. You said, "I'll get out here." And you grabbed your stuff and ran into the apartment. I was like, this fucking guy is serious. I didn't know, but it showed me.
Yeah.
It showed me how serious we needed to be at that level. You wouldn't even, not only would you not miss a meal, you wouldn't even be late on the meal.
No, there's no way, yeah.
There's no way.
No.
You had me stop on the freeway and you're eating your food on the side of the road.
See, I don't remember that, but I believe it. I believe it.
Of course, I know you believe it.
Yeah.
Because that's how serious you were. And I'm like,
So you think that's the difference between back then and now? I think these guys today, don't you think they're pretty much the same when it comes to eat? No. I'm asking you because you train these guys.
Yeah, maybe like a Nick Walker and Pete and guys at that level, or they have the same mental attitude and stuff like that. And then another thing too, we never separated. It would be all us bodybuilders. It wouldn't be any basketball players or football players. It would be all bodybuilders, and we moved in a pack. I think the internet made us feel like we didn't need to be, we could be separated.
Yeah.
We can move away. So although I can watch a Chris Bumstead video of him training, I still can't feel it. You know, I can feel it. Like when you came in and you went to that locker and you grabbed your food, and there was no microwave. You just grabbed that food and you threw it down and you went back to train some more. And you were already in great shape. I mean, no, we don't have that anymore. And I think the internet...
Well, you would know as a trainer, because you train some of the best guys out there, you would know what their mentality is nowadays compared to back then. Now, when you compare this to the late Sean Roden, who you worked with, and you trained him when he won the Olympia. So you basically trained him at that time.
Right.
So when you compare Sean Roden now, I mean, then, what was it, 2018?
2018 he won.
Yeah, when he won the Olympia. When you compare Sean Roden, because he always came across as super laid back, slow,
It's so funny that you say that. So as a trainer, probably all the guys, I still see you helping out guys and teaching guys. See, most of these guys are trainers. So when you're training a trainer, they already know what to do. You know he needs 5 sets of incline press. He know he needs to squeeze. He knows this. He knows that, but it's my job to push him right back into that, to corner him back into that. That's all I'm doing. He knows what to do, and my job is to make sure he does it. So with Sean, I was his training partner in 2016. And I did the same thing I did with all the other guys. When you push him, they're either gonna not come back or they're gonna level up. So Sean leveled up. When he would see this old guy with the gray beard lifting more than him, he pushed hard. Now he was killing me. I mean, he was killing me. I could barely keep up with him. It was all an act. It was all a facade. But I would throw the weights down, not look at him, and just look at him and go. And that worked with Sean. There's a lot of pictures of me leaning right behind Sean's head, but you guys don't know. So this is what made Sean win. This is what I brought out of him. I leaned behind him and I said, you're not even in the running for winning. You're not even there. They're not even thinking of you to win. And I said, that is the most disrespect when you're not even on the list. You're not even 3rd or 4th or 5th. They got you not in the top 10. Now, Sean is not a yeller or a screamer, but it pissed him off. And that's what I did to bring him out of. Because you remember, that's the year he started talking more head and trying to forecasting what he was going to do, and kind of this arrogance about him that no one has seen before, because he was finally angry. He was finally mad at where he wanted to be, Phil. And that's when, the famous Jay Cutler TV interview where he says, I'm better than Phil here, I'm better than Phil here, I'm better than Phil here. That's what I brought out of him. But it was already there, but to motivate him when I told him, they don't even think you're gonna take the top 10. And that's what pissed him off. And that was our advantage.
Yeah. How many times you guys trained every day? Just once or twice?
We literally trained, I literally was Sean for 6 hours a day. So the dynamic of Sean and I, when I first saw Sean, he was walking through goals, and I said, oh, that's the guy that he did well at the Olympia, and I knew who he was, but I know he was. And then I lived in a nearby apartment about 10 minutes from goals, and someone told him, hey, if you train with Charles, you got to get Big Chris with Charles. They're like Kobe and Shaq. Like, they're unbeatable when they're together. Like, they're great when they're separate, but when they're together, they're fantastic. He never told me you told him that. So he was walking through my building, getting a tour, and he says, hey, you live here? And I go, yeah. He says, okay, let's go, sign me up. What apartment you in? And he got an apartment close as me as possible. That's what started. That was 2015. And I trained with him in 16. Then I trained and I became his trainer at 17, and then he won at 18. But that's what it was. And I was with him all day. So we would train. I'd see him for cardio. He'd do a little pump. We'd go up and pose. He'd do his cardio. Then he came back at 11 or 12. Then he would train. Then we do more cardio. Then he came back tonight, do a smaller body part, and then more cardio. He would train. We were together 6 hours a day.
Yeah, and you trained with several guys for the Olympia that year. I think did you train Dexter at that time?
Yeah, at one time I had him and Dexter, and Sean was 2 hours away. So I had to drive to train Sean, come back, train Dexter. Fortunately, Dexter only trained one time a day, and then I drive back to train Sean again. And actually, that was 2017 when I did that.
So when you think of all the guys you trained, let's talk about the pros only. Who's the hardest worker in the gym?
Chris Cormier.
Chris Cormier? Chris
Cormier, undeniable. Chris Cormier had a switch. He had a switch, and when he flipped that switch, like it was game on. Like it was game on. All the partying stopped.
So funny. It's so funny that you say, because, you know, and you think when some people that know Chris from the club wouldn't know that, you know, that he had a switch that literally just, that he went into an animal state.
No, he went there. He would flip a switch, and he was a different person. He turned his phone off. He had a recording on his phone. Hey, I'm training. Don't call me. And that's when he come. And that's why he would transform. And that's why he would shock a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because they would see him and they would underestimate him. And Chris didn't look that impressive in the gym. He wasn't like a Flex Wheeler or Aaron Baker where you saw these guys, they looked like cartoon, or you guys, you look like bodybuilder. Chris looked like a kind of above average guy. But then when he took off his clothes, everything just flowed. Man. Everything was just flowed into this, and he had this beautiful body. Like, man, I remember we lived together. And small apartment, maybe like 10 or 15 units. And it was these hot girls that lived down at the bottom. We would always see these pretty girls. And they would see me in the elevator and say, hey, I heard you just won a show. And I said, no, that's my roommate. They go, him? I said, yeah, he's one of the best in the world. They go, really? Because he looked, everything flowed. His arms wasn't too big, his chest wasn't too big, everything was symmetrically just nice. And that's how he would do pose by pose. Even 2 weeks out from the show, you could tell he was in shape, but you really didn't see the phenomenon that you would see on stage 2 weeks later. Like, you just couldn't tell.
Yeah, Chris. Do you think Chris should be Mr. Olympia? Or do you think he could have been Mr. Olympia if he would have
100%?
If he would have partied less?
100%. Well, I think if he'd have flipped that switch earlier, maybe like 10 weeks out or 12 weeks out, but like this, if Chris Cormier had your attitude, he would have been the best bodybuilder in the world.
Do you mean attitude outside the gym?
Outside the gym. Yeah. That get off the freeway and you got to eat. That, hey, don't talk to me now, I'm training. When you would sit there and you're between your sets, you just sit, you wasn't talking to anybody. You were like right here. You were like right there. And that's what the guys that goes, we didn't really have that. Like, you taught us that. You taught us like how serious you need to be like that. Because you came out of nowhere and like you said, you shocked us. Like, we've never seen anything like that. We never seen anything like that.
That's strange. I remember first conversation, because the first friendship I built in the U.S. with Melvin Anthony after the USA's. It was actually immediately after the USA's, immediately after I beat him. And I remember because, me growing up in Germany, I mean, German mentality is a little bit different. Everything, there's a plan for everything, every day.
Right.
You have a plan, and that's what you follow. So I remember asking Melvin, I said, hey, how much protein do you eat today? And he said something to me like, 8 chicken breasts. I was like, okay, but how much protein is that, How much protein is, He said, yeah. He said, no. I said, how much are your chicken breasts? He said, about this big. He had no idea how much protein he eats.
He had no idea. Exactly.
And I'm like, how did these guys get to the top, not even knowing what they put in their body? You know what I mean? So that's where I realized that everything is a little bit more relaxed in the U.S. Because I came to the U.S. and my diet was strictly oats with water. We didn't even cook the oats. We just put water over the oats so they're not that dry. Chicken and rice every day. Nothing else. No sauce, no ketchup, no nothing. Then I come to the U.S. and then I see these guys eating shitload of ketchup over everything. They eat like oats in packs, like apple cinnamon, peaches and cream, strawberries and cream. Right. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible, you know? So that's why I saw that, they take it just a little easier. And that's why I think there's a lot of guys, especially Melvin also, who could have went so much further if they would have just took advantage of their genetic potential that they had. You know, I mean, he ended up being a top 5 athlete at the Olympia, which is unheard of. But I think that he could have been a guy winning shows like the Olympia and the Arnold, you know, at the end of the day. But that's what I realized. It was a little bit more relaxed in the U.S.
Yeah, it's a lot more relaxed. I think the guys now are even more relaxed.
You think so?
Oh yeah, because they have other opportunities.
Do you think that the condition is suffering a little bit because?
Of course, everything is suffering. It's all suffering.
Yeah, but I think because, you know, what is the reason? Why? Is it because maybe the guys that winning are not the most conditioned guys on stage and that they probably go off of who's winning?
Well, I think this is why condition is suffering. It's what you said. Because I can train a guy online and then let's say 3 weeks before his show, he comes out. And let's say his weight is kind of stagnant. It's not like it's not going down. Remarkably, when I get in front of him, the weight starts to go down. Why? Because go eat. Don't put that on there. Get that G-Hughes out of there. No, you can't have that. Like eat your fruit. No, there's a few more bites right there. Get it all down. Now he's not cutting the corners because I'm looking over his shoulder. And that's why he zooms in. That's why a lot of guys go, well, I cut real hard the last 2 weeks. No, you start doing everything correctly the last 2 weeks. And that's why you change. But with you guys did all that from the start. Like, and back in those days, you wouldn't dream of putting salt on your food. Like you wouldn't dream of that. There wasn't any scheduled cheat meals. It wasn't a cheat meal. You were probably over dieting and you need to fill out to get your levels right so you won't start losing body parts.
I wouldn't even eat outside because I wouldn't trust the restaurant.
You wouldn't trust it.
No.
Exactly. You wouldn't trust it.
And these guys would go to Sizzler every day for every meal. I was like, what the hell? How are they dieting?
Right. And they would say, man, it was really good. It was really good. I said, well, they got come out of oil in it. No, it's no oil. It's no oil. Why do you think it tastes better than home? Why do you think it tastes better?
Fried in butter.
Exactly. The cook wants it to taste good. He's not thinking about how you look.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about it. And back then we didn't have money to eat out every meal. You know what I'm saying? These guys, they just do things a little bit easier. But you know, the pool is a little bit easier. Not to crap on the guys. And I hate to be the old guy saying, oh, in the 90s and the 80s, it was different. It was different.
Yeah.
It was just different.
What made you open up a gym now?
Open my gym?
Is it just for private training or is it for members? People can sign up and train there.
I was gonna do members, but I don't want to lower the training pool. For instance, what made you come over here and prep for your shows the last month or like that? Why'd you do it?
Why?
Yeah, Tyler.
The reason for me was because I wanted to be in the center of the sport. I wanted to be here when I'm in shape to be available for photo shoots and, you know, make a name for myself.
Right. The reason I opened my gym is for people that's trying to make a huge change. People that they're down a dollar in those last 6 or 7 weeks and they want to be focused. When the treadmill and the stair mill is right where you want it, and it's like hard training, like the hardcore training. Now, that training could be a lawyer that's trying to lose 80 pounds and look like something. It could be a housewife that wants to get in the bikini, you know, to get her body back. But it also can be an Olympia getting ready for the hardest show of his life and trying to move a few spots. I didn't want a gym, and I got tired of being around complacency. I just didn't want that. Like when we come in here, it's not just throwing weights around. We're doing something with a purpose, but the intensity is high. And that's why I opened my own gym. I wanted a lab so I can do my work, where I can have my clients come in from out of town and train me for 2 weeks and say, this is the level you should be training at. And
so the gym is strictly for your clients only?
now you can come in, you can do photo shoots and stuff like that, but everyone in here is one of my clients.
Okay.
Because I don't want to water down the pool with somebody that's not on the same level or with same intensity with which we train. I really want to bring old school bodybuilding back, the thing that I fell in love with.
So do you train each individual person in there, or they can come in and train by themselves?
Well, it's just like with you, like SEAL School, you have a training session that will be with me, and then you might have maintenance, hamstring, glute touch-up before your cardio at night. So I need to make sure that's done. So that's why you have to come back. And I believe I need to see you doing those hamstrings. I need to see you working them glutes for them to look the way I want. Even though I'm not training you, I need to look over and make sure you're doing what I need you to do.
So you're in there all day, every day?
All day. I got a bed in the back, and sometimes it's like, there's no point in going home. I got to be back here at 4 a.m. It's really like that. Because I do my diets in the back. I do all my interviews and all this other stuff like that. But it's not work to me. I love it. Like I still love training people. I still love it. So
you don't sometimes wake up and be like,
no, never. See, because everybody here wants to be here. See, I don't have any clients that I gotta, hey, where you at? Where you at? I don't have any of that. All the clients that come in here, all my clients, they want it. So when they come in, they like, hey, Chris, you need a cup of coffee? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Boom. They want to see Psycho. They want to be in it. So I don't have that. If I had negative clients or someone didn't want to do their cardio or someone didn't want to put the extra plate on there, then I probably would hate it, but I still love it. I still love what I do.
Do you train everybody, or do you sometimes decline people?
Oh no, I decline people all the time. This a few weeks ago, this lady, she hit me up and she said, oh, I want to buy 3 sessions and I'll pay whatever price because I want you to train me how to do my back. I said, I can't do it in 3 sessions. I can't figure you out in 3 sessions. I'm not gonna take your money. I'm not gonna take.
How long does it take to figure out someone's physique?
Some people, if I watch them, I can just see, right away. But some people, the muscles just don't fire. And that's something I learned from Charles. You got to start putting these people in these curious positions to get them to fire. But mostly what I see when training back, the guy or the girl is worrying about the weight or the bar, and they're not worrying about elbow placement or the muscle firing. They're just moving the weight, moving the bar around, or they're moving around the bar. Now from across the room, it looks as if they're training, right? But when you get it close on him, he's jerking his wrist, and that's why you know that he's trying to worry about the bar, get the bar back. Or this person is trying to do 15 reps. They're not trying to fire their back 15 times. And that's when I got to get them and say, no, I need to see your back move. I need to see the muscle move. When I first got pseudo famous, people were like, hey, why does he keep touching his client? Why is he always touching them? Because I can think it's firing. I can think it's moving. If you got a sweatshirt on, I think it's moving, but I need to touch it to make sure it's firing. And that's another thing. I need to make sure every rep is firing. Because you can, like a piano or a mover, a furniture mover, they lift thousands of pounds all the time. Why aren't they buff? Because they're trying to get a heavy object from point A to point B. That's not bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is you trying to get that muscle to contract 10 times or 8 times or 15 times or whatever. It's not just moving heavy weight around. It looks the same, but it's not.
Yeah, I hear you. What do you think is, how many times you train a body part? What do you suggest to people? How many times to train a body part per week? Once or twice?
Well, I would try to do things once a week, but there's certain body parts that you can hit more frequently and they will grow. Now, let's take arms. Certain people, if they train their arms full out on Saturday, they might need to do an arm bump on Wednesday. Not kill it, just keep blood and nitrogen in the muscle so it doesn't atrophy, but then not interfere with other body parts. Let's say like legs. If you really kill your legs, like you really kill them, you're not gonna be doing legs twice a week. It's really hard to do legs twice a week. Now, hamstring and glutes, you can hit those often because you don't need them like super big, but you do need them really defined. So you got to see the person, look at the growth and how they're doing it, the muscles firing, and then you can determine, that's why I say maintenance. So they say we do arms on Saturday. I may need them to do 5 or 6 sets of bicep on Wednesday just to keep blood and nitrogen in the muscle, but not interfere with any back movements that they may do.
Oh, so not a full workout on Wednesday.
Not a full one, just like a little bump, just like, put blood in. The calves, I think calves can be trained twice a week, but I think they should be stretched 3 times a week as well. They should stretch them the days that they don't train them to elongate the muscle to get more blood and nitrogen in it. Dancers have incredible calves. They don't work their calves. They stretch their calves, and then the movements they make, all these dancers have these huge calves because they are more flexible.
Yeah, true. I agree with that. So do you have anybody in your stall right now that's going to make some noise anytime soon?
I have BB Pro Ron Gordon. Been working with him for a couple of years. He has all the bones of a really good athlete, and he's extremely coachable. He's getting ready for the Indy Pro, and I think he's gonna make some noise.
Our Indy Pro coming up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
What's his name?
Ron Gordon,
Is that the tall guy?
tall guy, RBG.
He's got a good physique.
He got a physique, and then he'd been talking to me and this and that, and after with Sean and Stan and Regan and training those guys and Dexter, I kind of want to go back and just bring more people to the sport and teach them how to train. So I was working with a lot of first-time shows or third shows or fourth show people and teaching them how, this is how you train. This is how you eat your food. Eat your protein before your carbs. I mean, just the smallest detail, I got a lot of enjoyment in that. So Ron Gordon kept reaching out. And then I said, okay, fine. I said, I'm gonna train this guy. I'm gonna try to kill him. Not hurt him, but just make him go away. And he absorbed it.
I'm just for the listeners that listen to this, why would you tell people to eat the protein before the carbs?
The protein, okay, protein is gonna slow down the absorption course. If carbs go in first, it's gonna create more insulin. The more insulin, especially when you're bodybuilding, insulin is very important to build muscle, but to lose body fat, like you cannot burn fat or lose fat while insulin's in your stomach. So if you see somebody walking on a treadmill and they're slamming a Gatorade, they're not burning fat. They may lose fat later on in the day by calorie deficit, but they're not burning fat at that time. So that's why it's real important, like these intro workouts, stuff like that. I'm not really into those because I believe you should use your own body resources while you're training.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
So you want to, what we do is oxymoron. We want to be as big as possible and then as small as possible.
So would you tell them only when they're dieting for a show to eat the protein first and then the carbs, or for off season also?
Well, it all depends where they are. Let's say if they're super lean, then I'll probably say, hey, just it doesn't really matter. But if you have a problem where you carry a little extra body fat, hey, kind of make sure that protein gets down first before you get those carbs down. Let's be honest, the carbs is always going to go down. We have a problem getting the protein down. That's what the issue is going to be in that protein.
So, but what if somebody has a great appetite and can eat it? Doesn't matter how. So does it really make a difference if I eat the protein first or the carbs first? Doesn't that all go into the same bloodstream?
It goes into the same bloodstream, but the protein is going to go in slower and it's going to slow down the absorption of carb. If the protein, like you got simple carbs and complex carbs. Simple carbs, they create more insulin. That's a fat storage hormone. And you want to be in control of that at all times. You don't want that just raging. You want insulin when you want insulin, but when you don't, you want it like this. Now, when you're building or you want to do a refeed, you want to go like this and get the insulin to fill those body parts. Let's say your legs are weak. Yeah, you might do higher carb that day. You might do the muffin pump, as they say before that, because you want more insulin. You want to feel that. But the carbs that you burn today, they were put in yesterday. Those are carbs from yesterday. They're not carbs from today. What you're feeling that extra is the insulin that those carbs made. So I believe Protein goes in first, then carbs go in next. For me, now, if the guy doesn't have a problem gaining, if you stay super lean, I really don't care.
Right.
If I see body fat or love handles or anything like that, eat your protein first.
This is just for the listeners so they can hear this, because I think that there's a lot of speculation of what really works and what doesn't work, and and if that's the case, then maybe I should have done that too. Maybe I would have. Who knows? Maybe I'll be Mr. Olympia if you would have ate if I would have ate my protein first, because I mixed it all up and docked it. I didn't really care. I like my food the way it is. I don't think I would even like to eat my chicken first and then eat the rice after. I mix it all up and.
Right.
And that's how I eat my food. That's crazy. So what was this guy's name again? Gordon?
Ron Gordon.
Gordon. So
Yeah.
where did he turn pro?
I wasn't with him then. I don't know. I wasn't with him at that time.
Has he competed as a pro before?
Yes, he did. He did okay in a couple of years ago. He took like a top 5 before. He took like a top 5.
Because the name sounds familiar, but I just can't remember where I know this guy from.
He's RPG on Instagram. RPG.
I've seen a couple of videos of you training with him.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah,
he likes to be covered up. He's old school. He stays covered up in so much. But I think this year, respectfully, I think he's going to do really well in Indy.
Yeah, I mean, Indy Pro is who do you got in the Indy Pro? We got Justin Rodriguez. We have
We got Blessing.
Charles Griffin.
Right, Charles Griffin.
So where do you see him? How do you see him fare with those guys standing next to those
It's
guys?
apples and oranges. I still come from the aesthetic. I build bodies aesthetic. I don't, even though I was a big guy, I still want to see small waist, round arms, round triceps, big chest. That's what I want to see. So he's going to be on the aesthetic end of that. Also with size, but I don't believe in size just for the sake of size. I believe in aesthetics first, always. I will always believe in that. And even with Sean Roden, he was actually trained as the thing that we did, we didn't want to get him super big. We wanted to get him super complete. And we wanted him round and full and almost like a classic physique guy. Like that, honest, right now, that's my favorite category, is classic physique. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing out there.
Yeah. Did you communicate with Chris while you was training Sean Roden with Chris Aceto, just to see where everything's at? So there was communication there with the trainer.
Yeah. But Chris Aceto, he came out and he saw what I did, and he really had very little input in what I was doing. He liked what I did. He liked that I pushed him really, really hard. But whenever someone else is doing the diet, I always communicate with them, and I always want to know exactly what's going on. Like I said, but I'm not the trainer. How can I say this? I'm not the trainer that just sees you on the gym floor. I see you at your apartment. I see you in the posing room. I do a lot of the stuff. I do a lot more than just training.
Yeah. So when you look at the Olympia lineup today, let's say for this year, 2022, what do you see happening?
Big Ramy, I think Big Ramy is focused. All the pictures I've seen of him, I think he will win again. I think it's his show to lose if he chooses to, but I don't see that happen. And I think the best thing to happen is, but him coming to you the last month or 6 weeks is just, that was a game changer. And Chad as well. But I think you sitting on him and making everything was done the old school way is why he won and why he's going to continue to win for a while. And who else did stand out? Brandon, I love Brandon's body. I think his last outing, there was a little mix up in the something, I'm not sure, because the pictures leading up to that were amazing pictures. So I still got Brandon right up there. I think Bonac has some issues that he needs to correct. I think he will correct those issues, but I don't think it's going to be at this Olympia. Rolly, these are people that I really had a lot of high hopes for. I think Rolly, he's on a comeback trail as well.
I don't even think Rolly's qualified.
Oh, that's right. He's not qualified.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's not qualified, and it doesn't seem like he's trying to qualify.
I don't know. I don't think so. It's pretty quiet about Rolly, and the last pictures I saw, I saw him, pretty downsized, which is great to see, because that means he's doing what's necessary and giving his body some time and some rest, which is very important, especially now where we see a lot of people dying left and right, and And but then when I think of guys like Nick Walker, who's an up and coming bodybuilder, who had probably one of the best rookie seasons since Phil Heath.
Right.
And to see him put on the size that he's putting on, and a lot of people trashing I don't want to say trashing him, but a lot of people, putting a stamp on him saying, yeah, he's going to be the next Dallas McCarver or the next Sean Roden or whatever, which I don't believe. I don't think that, from when I see him train, and I don't believe this is just for the video, I really believe that he trains like that and that he literally uses everything and utilizes the workouts 100%, and it shows. I think he's a strong guy. I think he has no problem putting on weight, because I think about myself. It was so easy for me to just get heavy. 300 pounds was nothing.
Right.
And I didn't even have to fight to get 300 pounds. I just had to fucking get on my schedule, eat, and train,
Yeah, right.
and next thing you know, I was 300 pounds. So therefore, I think he is, and he's still young. He's like 27 now, maybe. I think maybe 27. I think he is going to be somebody that's going to move up. He kind of reminds me of a young Jay Cutler. Mm-hmm.
Growing faster than Jay Cutler.
Yeah, growing faster. But still, it's that blonde look, that all-American look, and I think that he's doing everything right. And I think that Nick Walker will be one of the guys that's going to be moving into the top 3 this year.
I totally believe that. Even when he was an amateur, this kid didn't know who he was. He would reach out to me. What does that work? How do you do that? Well, what do I do this? This boy is amateur. He was reaching out and doing his homework, and I agree with you. I think he's doing all of his homework, and I think he's doing things correctly. But I believe it that he lives and breathes bodybuilding like the old school, and that's why people are so shocked at how fast they grow. But like you said, all those guys grew. 300 pounds was the standard in the 90s in all season. That was the standard that you had.
Oh no, I don't think so. You think so? These guys weren't that big in the off season.
Who was it? Let's see.
Well, yeah, 300 pounds. Okay, we had Paul Dillette. We had Sean Pierre Fuchs. Chris wasn't 300 pounds.
No, 280. You get 285.
Yeah. So, but
You get the 285.
to break the 300, there was NASA. Who else did we have?
Jay Cutler,
Sean Pierre Fuchs,
Jean-Pierre Fuchs. Who else?
Marcus Rule.
Marcus Rule. Yeah.
And that's
Quite
just
a few.
and that's just about it though.
Let's see.
Most of the other guys they weren't as heavy, but because at the end of the day, weight don't mean anything on stage.
Well, those guys were pretty quietly muscle. I know Paul Dillette. He was extremely tall, but he could carry a lot of weight. He can get really big.
That's crazy. When you think back, because the average weight on stage today, I'll say is at least 15, 20 pounds heavier than it was back in the 90s.
I agree with you totally.
Even though we had the biggest mass monsters in the 90s with NASA, and Paul, even those guys, but the average weight, because 240 was fucking huge on stage back then.
I know it was.
Yeah.
I think Haney was in 230s, in the 230s.
No, I think Lee Haney, was 243 or 245, but he was the biggest guy.
Right, 243. Yeah.
He was the biggest guy, but everybody else.
And he was considered a Mons master.
Yeah.
And Dorian
in 2003 when he came out, and
Dorian was 300 pounds.
and he changed the game. He was, but he was 256 on stage. In 93 when he changed the game, 256.
The level of hardness that he came with, we had never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And then the pictures, he looks better in black and white. It shows more what he was in black and white, but to see him in person,
that was it.
And hardness, I can't explain that to people what it was.
True.
The cameras were not as good, and this guy was grainy and hard. Like he looked like he was stoned.
Yeah. No, he was granite, and especially standing next to all the other guys. Because I always tell people, I said, how good, what shape you're in when you stand next to someone who is in great shape.
Exactly.
That's when you really know if you're in shape or not.
Because bodybuilding exposes you. It's all about exposing somebody else. You could be at home and you look phenomenal. You get backstage, guys feel this. You thought you had a small waist? No, that's a small waist.
Yeah.
You thought you had big arms? No, that's conditioning right there.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to hold you up too long. To finish this off, give me your top 3 at the Indy Pro.
Man, that's how.
Yeah, you can,
I don't decline that, Dennis. I don't
no,
wanna
just
be-
give me your top 3. We know it doesn't matter. We're not pissing anybody off.
Okay. I think Charles Griffin definitely going to be in there. He's definitely going to be in the mix.
Is it one? Is it 1, 2, or 3?
I would say 3.
Third.
I would say 3.
Okay.
But I seen some pictures. He looks phenomenal. Let's see.
He finally came out with a vacuum too. You see that? He's sucking it in.
Yeah, he did. Honestly, from the pictures and working with George Farah, I think Blessing's going to be a second.
Second?
I think he's going to pull out a second.
Okay.
I think Blessing's going to be.
Yeah, I mean.
I think he is.
So who's going to win it? Who's going to win it?
Ron Gordon.
Oh, really? So you don't think Justin Rodriguez has a shot at making top 3?
Justin Rodriguez gets really, really hard, but he does that thing where he swoops in at the end. You know, he holds and he kind of swoops in. I got Justin Rodriguez. Oh, I forgot about it. I will put Justin Rodriguez in second.
Okay, so Charles Griffin is
Fourth.
Is fourth. So Blessing third. So you got Gordon winning.
I got Ron Gordon winning. I
Okay.
got the feathers in the quad. I got the rondelles. Got the small waist. I think he's going to be really impressive. Very, very impressive.
I can't wait to see it.
sir.
We got 2 more weeks from this weekend, brother. I appreciate your time, my man.
Thank you, brother.
And I want to also, I'm starting to do some old school round tables. I might want to include you in one of the round tables if you're okay with it, or up for it.
Welcome. Wait a minute. We go back too far, man.
All right, brother. I appreciate you, my man. Take care, man. God bless.
Thank you very much, Dennis.
All right.